I don't know. That's a good question. I still don't know. I was the soccer player in my own town. The guys were bigger than me, so I had to be either smarter or faster. Back then is when I got mad. I moved in the United States in August, and September 24 I tore my ACL. But I don't regret anything. I really want to start my life and figure out what I'm going to do. Sport and media is the most direct way to be in the sport without being the athlete. Now I know if we're going for a coffee, we're going to the drive-thru most of the time. I want to teach them how to use a spoon, know how to hide if somebody's shooting. I want them to have grandparents. Not everybody is going to like you, and that's fine. I think it was the hardest moment of my life.
Welcome to the world of sports. My name is Lewis Helm, and I'm a student and soccer player at Grandview University. Each week, I sit down with athletes and professionals from across the sports industry to talk about their careers and their paths into sports, but also their beliefs, values, and perspectives. Going beyond fancy job titles or athletic achievements, I want to dig deeper, to understand who they really are, what shaped them, and how their journey in sports has influenced their lives. My guest in the second episode is Ginevra Spinelli. Ginevra plays soccer at Grandview University and studies media and communications. In this conversation, we talk about her journey of growing up as a girl playing soccer in Italy, the prejudice she had to face along the way, and how those experiences shaped her both on and off the field. Ginny also shares how she learned to deal with setbacks once she arrived in the US. Aside from soccer, we dive into her career aspirations in sports media, her goals for the future, and the cultural differences she has experienced between Europe and the United States. Now, here's my conversation with Ginevra Spinelli. Hi, Ginny.
Hello.
Thank you for taking the time. I like to start those conversations with one question. What does soccer mean to you?
It's a very broad question. So right now I'm kind of in the moment where I'm happy of not having to play anymore. I feel like after 18 years, because I started playing when I was 4, I haven't done anything else besides soccer. I don't know how to do any other sport. So for me, soccer is the only sport that exists.
Okay.
So yeah, my body's tired, my mind is tired because it's very, especially here in college, it's very time consuming and energy consuming. Right now I'm happy I'm not playing, but in general soccer is, I was the soccer player in my own town, in my hometown. So I would say it's pretty much everything I've ever done in my life besides school.
Okay, that's funny because that's the second time I hear that now, that it has such a deep meaning, kind of, that it is so important on a level. And maybe you want to talk about, you said in your hometown growing up, what made you the soccer girl?
I don't remember because I was only 4,
Okay.
but I remember my mom trying to convince me not to play soccer. I was the only girl playing at that time because in Italy, women's soccer wasn't that big yet. It's not very big right now either, but back then I was the only girl in my team and the only girl in the other teams. I never versed another girl until I was probably like 12 or 13. So my mom tried not to convince me not to play. Didn't work. She made me try other sports, but I was decided. And so I don't know, I think my dad was watching soccer games and I was just watching them with him, and I decided I wanted to do it too. Wasn't easy, especially in a small town with a lot of prejudices because it's technically a men's sport, at least in Europe. So wasn't easy, wasn't great in the beginning, but yeah, it definitely shaped my personality right now. I know how to snap back and how to not care what other people think because this is what I wanted to do. So
And how did you deal with all the prejudice growing up?
in the beginning, they weren't affecting me because I didn't see soccer as a men's sport at all. So I was like, what are they talking about? Like, I didn't know. And my teammates used to defend me, like, pretty good. They were, like, answering back for me all day. And then also my dad and my mom too were often involved with the team. Like, maybe my mom was working, preparing, selling snacks and stuff like that. Instead, my dad was in the team, kind of assisting the coaches. So that helped me a lot too, because also I was the only one in a different locker room and I was very by myself, especially because I played around probably 10 years with boys. So that's a long time, and definitely my parents helped me a lot to go through that, and my teammates. Well, pretty much every team but one. Once I went to play with an older team, they were 1 year older than me. So that and the fact that I was a girl, they basically weren't passing the ball to me in the field because I wasn't good enough for them. And I almost quit soccer at that point. I was very close, and I was probably like in middle school, so like 12 or 11.
How did you get into that team?
Because in my hometown is very small. It's like 1,300 people. So they didn't have enough people my age to make a team, and so the team kind of disappeared. But they had the older team, and since I was good at that time, I like the physical difference wasn't a lot. They told me I could play with the guys that were 1 year older than me, and so I said yeah because I didn't want to move. I wanted to play in my hometown, and so I said yes, and I left. Like when the season ended, I left immediately.
Okay, you said we were close to quitting back then. What made you not quit?
My parents, they knew I was gonna regret it, and so I'm thankful they didn't let me, and they found a solution. They found me another team, which wasn't easy in the beginning because I switched to another team. They didn't know me, so they thought I was bad. And remember the first practice, we were like kind of just playing into the coach split us in two teams, and I was in a team, and then he changed his mind and he changed me to the other team, and all the guys started clapping when they switched me to the other team.
Put you on the spot.
Yes, so I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. And at the end of the year, they were all my friends because they realized I was good. Thankfully, I was, because imagine if I wasn't, that would have been terrible. but yeah, so I think my parents.
Did you ever feel like you had to practice harder or do more in order to get recognized amongst just boys?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Especially when the physical difference starting to show. The guys were bigger than me, so I had to be either smarter or faster. I had to do something to beat them, basically. And yeah, and I feel like this is repeating a lot for women in every field that is male dominated. So I feel like feminine is very personal, and I think it started back then when being good wasn't enough to prove them that I could play with them. I had always to show more, like I had to be faster or smarter, as I said. And so yeah, definitely had to do something to prove.
And how did you cope with that? Also, like mentally?
I think I was so young when it started that I don't remember it being any other ways. So I wasn't really coping. I was just doing it because it wasn't weird to me. And it started to be weird when I grew up, and I realized that wasn't right, that wasn't fair. But when I was younger, that's all I saw my whole life. So I thought it was normal that I had to do it because I chose a men's sport.
At what time did you realize that more and more?
In high school, I was probably 15 or 16, and I was playing for a professional team. I wasn't professional because I wasn't like in the first team. I was with the younger teams. And back then in my high school, they were helping student athletes to kind of program their like tests, quizzes, and stuff like that. But you had to play for a certain level. And I was playing for that level, but on the paper it specified that it was just for the men who was playing at the same level as me. So a man that was same age, same team, same number of practice and everything could have access to that, and I couldn't. And back then is when I got mad. I was like, we're going to the same place, we're practicing the same days, we're traveling as far as each other. Why I can't have that?
Was that a professional men's or women's team?
Women. It was women.
And when did you start playing with girls?
I started last year of middle school, so I don't remember the year. It was probably 2016. 2016, yes.
Was that switch very different to how it was before for you?
Yes. It was weird having to share the locker room with other people. I didn't like that. In the beginning, I didn't want to shower because I didn't want to shower with other people. And then I was lying to my mom and be like, oh no, we don't have hot water, or it's too cold to wash my hair. I was lying because I didn't want to shower with them. Okay. Especially because there weren't a lot of girls. So I was in the same locker room with girls that were like 30 years old and I was 12. So obviously that's intimidating. But beside that, it's just the fact that I had to travel far away to play, and that's for sure was exhausting, especially balancing with school and everything. But no, now I'm happy that I decided to switch because so many girls just quit. When it's time to switch from boys to women, they just quit. Well, I used to quit because now they play with women's team since when they're way younger than what I did because there are more teams. But yeah, now I create lifelong friends in women's team and not really in men's team. So I'm really happy about that.
That's cool. How did the whole women's soccer scene develop in Italy in the last couple of years? Because I only know it from Germany, where it is kind of developing, but not that crazily. So yeah, how is it?
So being here, I'm not like 100% sure. I'm not following like when I was there.
Yeah.
But I know a couple years ago, the Serie A, the first league, became professional a couple years ago. Instead, every other league is now professional. And I know so many of my friends are traveling like an hour every other day to practice and then even more for games. And they barely get money back for gas. And they're playing for like the third division of the Italian soccer. So it's developing for sure, but we're so far away from men's. Yeah, still.
Okay. When you decided to play just with women's teams, how long did you play in Italy back with just the women?
I played my last year of middle school and 5 year of high school, so 6.
And after that, you straight went to the United States?
Yes, yeah, I graduated from high school in June of 2022, and in August I was here.
And how did that move come about?
In general, good. For soccer, not great.
Okay, can you specify?
Yes. So basically, I moved in the United States in August, and September 24, I tore my ACL the same year, so like a month later.
Okay.
And it was like the third game I was playing in the States, and I tore my ACL, which is very unfortunate. And I didn't get to play for that team, for my old school a lot. Obviously, my freshman year was redshirt because I couldn't play, and my sophomore year wasn't, but I played 100 minutes, something like that, in the whole season.
Okay.
And we went to like playoffs and opening round and everything. We played so many games, and I played 125. So soccer was definitely tough, but I don't regret anything. I don't regret the choice of moving for sure.
Going back there, how did you end up moving to the United States? Like, when did that become an idea in your head?
Actually in middle school I had an idea that I wanted to study in the States, but it was so far away. Like, nah, it's impossible. And in high school I didn't think about it again. But then, like an agency texted me on Instagram and be like, I know you're graduating, I know you're playing high level. We have this opportunity if you want to have a chat with us. And so I said yes, but I didn't want to tell my parents because I was scared they were gonna say no. But they said, no, your parents need to be there because we know you won't be the one paying for it. So I talked to my parents, and obviously the first answer was no. And then we was like, no, there's no way. But then we spoke about it, and we see it was like doable, especially because with the agency you can set your budget and find schools that are in your budget. And so we started the whole process kind of late. I didn't go to a showcase, nothing. Thankfully I had my own highlights video, but we started like in probably February or March, and then in August I was here.
The agency helped you a lot in that process?
In the beginning, yes, it really helped me a lot. And then when I decided to transfer, I did everything by myself because I honestly didn't want to pay them again for something that I could do myself. So yeah, in the beginning for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have friends who are asking me about coming here, coming not here, and I never did anything with an agency, so I have like no idea of how that is, but I've heard from here and there now that it's sometimes it can be decent, but oftentimes it's also, yeah, that people don't end up in great spots. But definitely, I mean, to even get here, it's probably...
Yeah, when you're in Europe, you have no idea how school works here. There's soccer, like different levels, and how to get your visa and your passport, probably, yes. But like there are so many papers that you need.
Oh, yeah.
and you're there and you have no idea how to do it, especially if you're 18 and your parents never been in the States. So in the beginning it's for sure helpful, but like if my brother or one of my friends would have to do it, I would say don't do it with an agency, because you can do whatever they did by yourself, honestly.
Yeah, it's just a ton of work.
Yeah.
Ton of work, but you can. So yeah, you came with 18, you said? You
Yeah.
came to the United States. That seems, I mean, it's kind of normal, but it's still pretty young. Was it scary?
No. Everybody asked this question. I never, like, I had so many feelings, but not fear. Like, I never felt scared. I don't know why, but I was just excited to leave. I wanted to leave and be like, okay, let's go and we'll figure it out.
So excitement was your feeling?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. And after 2 years you played in Colombia, right?
Mhm.
You then moved to Grandview
Yes.
directly. How did you end up coming here?
I wanted to play in a good team, but also in a team that I knew I was going to have a chance to compete for a starting position. So I didn't want to go to a top two team school, you know. And so I sent so many emails to different schools, and then Benzi, Grandview's coach, answered me back, and we started talking, and I'm here now.
Okay. Did you have any like other schools you were looking into and had to choose Grandview, or was Grandview more like pretty quickly the one you wanted to go to?
So when I started sending emails, Grandview wasn't necessarily the one I wanted to go to. I didn't have one specific one. I
Yeah.
just had I think I sent like 60 emails to 60 different AIA schools, mainly in the Midwest, because obviously it's cheaper. And then at the end, I was 100% sure I wanted to come here because I really liked the coach and I really liked the communication program. So yeah, at the end, I had a school that was offering me more money, actually. Well, not more money, but the dorm were cheaper than here. And so sometimes international students just choose the cheapest one. But I really wanted to come to Grandview, and I spoke with my parents about it, and they agreed. So good.
Why did you really want to come here in the end?
I think the fact of having an international coach, not like an American one, I was really excited about that. And also the communication program is, I think it's very good, and it's what I want to do. Because at my old school, I was doing communication and speech, which is not what I want to do. I want to work with media, and here the major is communication and media practice. So it's perfect for what I want to do in the future.
Before we get into that, how do you like it here now that you've been here 1.5 years?
I love it. I was talking with my teammates in the last team meeting we had when the season was over. And I told them, like, I came here hating soccer. I didn't want to play soccer anymore. I just wanted to graduate. And I was so scared of getting injured again because I didn't want to go through that again. But here, I'm loving the game again. I'm not saying I will play again once I'm back in Europe or wherever I end up. But at least I ended knowing I still love the game and that still soccer is my thing, and not just want it to be done like forever, as soon as possible. So yeah, I found so many good friends here. I made so many good memories. So I'm really happy I'm here.
Cool. The injury, your ACL you talked about, how did you handle that?
I think I handled it good, but still it was very hard. My old school, obviously I was only there for a month before that happened. So yes, I had friends, but they weren't like close friends, and I had to go to physical therapy off campus, and obviously I didn't have a car. So that was a whole struggle because I need to find people to drive me there and drive me back, and it was like 15 minutes away from campus, and it was 3 times a week, like at 8 a.m. in the morning. So, they have known me for a month, and now they have to wake up at 7:30 to drive me to physical therapy, which they did. But sometimes, people forgot, and I had to call them, and then I was late to class, and then I didn't have time to have lunch. It was like a big thing, and then I was here by myself. That was probably, I had the surgery here. My dad came here when I had the surgery, so he stayed 15 days in the States with me. But still, then he left, and I was by myself again, and still I wasn't able to walk when he left. So That's for sure. I think it was the hardest moment of my life as of now.
What did you learn out of it?
Uh, I guess in general from the 2 years at Columbia, I learned, and then all the transferring process here, I learned that if I can do something once, I can do it again. That means, I decided to change my life coming to the States, and then I decided to change again to come to Grandview, and now I'll change again moving somewhere in Europe to work. And so I'm for sure not scared of changing anymore. And obviously that turning my ACL was another big change in my life because I never saw, like, I'm not living soccer the same way anymore because at least for me, it's always in the back of my mind of like, don't get injured again.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like also to just, get along with that and being out for so long and getting back, that's definitely a crazy thing to like live with. And then in your situation, I'm guessing it really grew you as a person.
Yeah, and coming back and still not playing, know. So I was like, I worked so hard to come back, and you're making me play 5 minutes if we're winning 9-0. I don't want to do that. Like, I know my value. I don't want to do that. And my old coach always used the excuse of my knee, like, oh no, because you've been injured. Yes, 1 year ago, I'm fine now. Like, I didn't want to be the injured player forever for 4 years. And so, yeah, that was another driving factor for me.
Was the move to Grandview in any way a defeat for you because you didn't play as much as you wanted in Colombia?
No, I didn't leave it that way. We had a really good team. We were ranked 4th in the nation at that point. And I don't know, I knew I wasn't the worst one in the team. I knew. It was just circumstances, and the coach was very American, and he really liked girls that run so fast, and that's it. He didn't care if they could control a ball or not. They just had to run, and they were running. So I know you can't be the favorite of every coach, and that's fine. In that moment, I watched the Totti documentary on Netflix. Totti was benched by Spalletti in Roma, like benched. So if he was benched in his home, who am I not to accept being benched by somebody? So I just accepted and decided this is not for me, I'm leaving.
Yeah, so Totti is basically the greatest player in Roma history, right?
Yes.
And he got benched too. Yeah, that's crazy. And in general, did you put any like pressure on yourself to wanting to play more, thinking you need to be better, stuff like that? Has that been, maybe even before coming here, just in general in soccer, been a thing for you?
When I was back home, not really, because I knew I didn't want to be a professional soccer player. I never played soccer because I wanted to work with that. I would just wanted to have fun, and I really liked the social part of soccer back in Italy. Instead, coming here, I would say this past summer was the hardest I've ever worked because, after my injury, as I said, I wasn't loving the game anymore. So during summer, I was just going home and not doing anything. I was just enjoying time with my family, with my friends. I was going to the gym, do stuff for my knee, and that's it. I wasn't running, I wasn't lifting, I wasn't doing anything. I was kind of lifting, but not really. In fact, last year I came here and I was out of shape, and still the coach gave me another chance, and I didn't want to disappoint him again. This past summer, I was doing all like the program they sent us, but it was very hard. I hate running. I don't know. I chose the wrong sport probably, but.
No, I feel that. We have so many guys on the team, me including. I also really.
You won the fitness test.
Yeah, we had that conversation. For me, running is a mental thing. Like, I would go running if I don't want to run, just to like build kind of like my head that I can do stuff I don't want to do. That's the reason I sometimes run, but at the same time I still don't really like it, and so many of the other guys don't like it.
Yeah. Now I like the day before, so usually on Saturday we had to run 3 miles during the summer, which is not crazy, but to me it was crazy. So the night before, like Friday night, I couldn't sleep, thinking about the fact that the morning I had to wake up at like 7 before it was too hot and go for a run. Like I couldn't sleep. Yeah. It made me sick. like in like May. Then June and July went better because I got used to it.
Yeah.
But May was terrible, But yeah, at the end I made it. I came in fit. That is what it matters at the end. But that's for sure the period when I had the most pressure, or like, and I still was feeling like it wasn't enough. I was running and I was like, I knew my teammates were making better times than me on the 3 miles, and so I was like, this is not enough. But I couldn't make more. It was so hard. I couldn't do better. So I was like, I'm doing what I can. And then I show up here and I saw I was fit. So like, okay, I made it. It was enough at the end.
I also want to, before we move on to all of the media side, talk about the last season, and obviously you guys not winning too many matches, but it seemed like you had a good team chemistry. How is that whole team dynamic in your guys' team?
Well, women's soccer is hard because there are so many dynamics in a team that you don't see in a men's team. Like, I never had any drama playing with guys, and then you go in a women team and everybody's mad with everybody for some reason.
Okay.
And I think the main difference is that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have something to say to somebody, you go and say it. You maybe fight, these people talks back 5 minutes and it's done. Instead, a woman go there, didn't say anything, and then drag the same problem for like hours, days, month, and the whole season at the end, because the season here is very short. So we had that chemistry, but I would say we were like 2 or 3 different groups.
Okay.
So we have chemistry within our group, not necessarily all together, and that could be for many different factors. But obviously it's wrong. But I've been in worse teams for sure. Like, I've been teams where there were like groups of 2 and 3 people, and then other 2 and 3. So having 3 big groups, it's not that bad in my opinion. We still, like in Italy was that if you didn't like somebody, you didn't talk to that person. Instead here it's different. Like, even if I'm not best friend with somebody, if I go to the dining hall and she's sitting there, I'm sitting with her and we're having a conversation, we're talking about school or soccer, about whatever. So probably for the coach was a big deal that we weren't so, like, I don't know, with each other, like cohesive. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's...
Do you think it affected your performance on the pitch though, or no?
I don't think so. Not necessarily. I think one of the biggest problem was that we had so many young players in our starting lineup. We had 2 seniors when I was starting, and then after I got injured, we only had 1 senior, and then Maya, the keeper, is a junior, and then we had all sophomore and freshmen. Instead, the other team is like senior, junior, senior. So obviously that affects, because when the freshman gets here, they think they can play like in high school. So just pass me the ball, I'll run, I score a goal. And in college, it doesn't work like that, and it takes time to understand it. And maybe another problem was that we had so many people that wanted to be the protagonist of the team. So doesn't matter where they were in the field, they were taking a shot on goal. When maybe there was an open passes, that when another player was in a better spot, they didn't choose to do it. I don't know if because they didn't want to, or because they're not mature enough to make that decision, if their soccer IQ is not that high to make that decision. I think there were so many factors. Probably the fact that we weren't just one big group is obviously a factor, but I wouldn't say it's the biggest one.
Okay. And how did you keep the morale up after you lose one game, maybe a second game? How do you keep the morale up after that?
Well, in the beginning, it didn't go terrible like last year. I think we won 1 game in the beginning and tied a couple. So I don't think it's like terrible. It was terrible in the beginning. And then obviously the conference started and the games are so good. So like the other teams are so good. And so, I don't know. I was just happy I was able to play, that I was feeling good, that I was fit. And every game, if I left the field on my own feet, I was happy, honestly. I wouldn't say happy. Obviously, I was upset if we were losing, but I was like relieved for sure.
I understand what you mean, especially coming out of that injury. Your You briefly touched on it, studying communications and media here. Do you feel like you're a different person on the pitch than you're off the pitch?
No, I would say it's pretty similar.
Okay.
Actually, maybe most people say that they're the worst side of themselves is in the field. I would say no. In the field, I never talk back to the ref. I never. Well, it happened once in my life to have a fight with another player. I'm very like quiet. Just I'm focused. I think about playing, and that's it. I don't complain. If I don't get a foul, I don't say anything. If I get it, good. Instead, out of the field, I complain a lot. If I have something to say, I'll say it. Like if I don't like something, I'll say it. And if I don't say it, my face would say it. So I would probably maybe because in the field I'm focused, and in life I don't necessarily have to be focused 90 minutes. But for sure, the version I'm in the field shaped the person I am off the field for sure.
With all your
Yeah.
upbringing and shit. Yeah, that makes sense. Talking about it shaped you, who are you outside of the pitch? How do you describe yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question because I was saying soccer is pretty much my personality, and until I'm here, I'm still a soccer player. Even if I'm not playing anymore, at least back home, people still see me as the girl who's playing soccer in United States. But once I'm out of that, I'm not sure because I guess here I'm a soccer player and I'm an international student and I'm a communication major. These are like the three, like the main things. I I don't know. That's a good question. I still don't know. I'll figure it out once I graduate. But as of now, I feel like I'm still a soccer player, like in and outside the field.
So obviously you're graduating in May, right?
Yes.
How though, tracking back now, did you even get into the whole sports media? When did you get interested in that field?
So after high school, I knew I wanted to study something. I didn't want to study like math or science or chemistry, nothing like that. I really loved history. I I would really love to study history, but at the same time, I don't want to be like a teacher or a researcher. Like it wasn't for me. So I thought, why not communication? Because also, as I said, I never wanted to be a professional soccer player, but still I wanted to be involved in the world. And I think being like sport and media is the most direct way to be in the sport without being the athlete. And so that's how I decided to go for it.
And did that already start when you were in middle school or just before you decided to come to the United States?
It started probably at the end of high school because even if I stayed in Italy, I wanted to study journalism. So I knew this was my path. But I was thinking more about writing, not really about media. And then when I came here to Grandview, I realized I love to take pictures, to do videography, to do like podcasts. I love to do all the multimedia stuff. And so I knew I wanted to be in communication. I wasn't sure in what part of communication. And I still love writing. So yeah, I have a lot of options to choose from.
Definitely, definitely. Did you do any internships so far that also played into you liking all the production side?
My internship was more like marketing related. I worked for an office here in Grandview, the Center of Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And I was making all like the promotional stuff. So if they had an event, I was creating the flyers or making videos like a promotional video for the event and stuff like that, which is not necessarily what I want to do in my life because it's not sport related, but I still liked it. I like to let people like to find a way to let people know what is going on around them. And I met so many people doing that because I made promotional videos and I talked to a lot of faculty and staff, and they were just happy to help me. And sometimes that's scary because you think since you're not a professional in the field yet, people are not going to treat you in the nicest way possible because they maybe don't treat you seriously enough. But here, everybody was treating me as if I was a professional, which was very surprising, and I loved it.
You do a lot of media stuff. What are you most passionate about?
I still love writing. even if writing in English is not the same as writing in Italian. In Italian, I just sit down and I start writing, typing, whatever. Instead, in English, I need to think about it for a second, so it's not as spontaneous as in Italian, but I still love it. And then I found out I love photography. I really like taking pictures, bringing my camera everywhere. But anyways, I don't see it as my future job because obviously I see it more as an hobby, but it's an expensive hobby. It's not like, I don't know, going to play paddle. It's an expensive hobby. So I love it. I would love it even more if I had obviously more money to buy more equipment and made it more professional. But here we're lucky because we can borrow so many equipment from the school. And I would say photography and writing are my favorite too, for sure. And everything that goes on social media, I love creating content for social media. But yeah, I probably prefer to create the content to post on the social media than being the person who just click post, if that makes sense. Because in biggest team there are two different people, one that take the picture and the other one who publish the picture. And I'd rather be the one who takes it than the one who publishes it.
And are you rather the person that is in front of the picture or behind the picture?
Behind, always behind.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. Thanks even more than for talking on here and being in front.
Of course.
Yeah, so you talked about that being your passion. In terms of it becoming a profession for you, what do you think, which direction interests you there the most right now?
I'm thinking about making a master in Europe, probably, maybe in Spain. There are so many masters there that are like specific to sport communication or sport journalism, and they make you do internship with important sport newspaper or important TV station that talks about sport. And so I hope to do good there and get connections there. I would love to do any side of communication. Maybe videography is the one I like the least, just because it's more time consuming. But if it was that, I would still love it. I would do whatever that is communication related.
And is it always just soccer for you or any sport?
I wouldn't mind doing another sport. Obviously, I would rather be a sport that I at least know the rules, because it would be hard to work for a sport that you need to start from zero, like learning the rules and the players and everything. My end goal is soccer for sure, but I don't mind doing other sport in the middle.
What has been your favorite project you've worked on so far in the whole theme of sports communication?
So last spring, the Cup US, which is a online newspaper that talk about the US Open Cup, contacted my coach, and then my coach contacted me because he knew I was writing articles and loved sport communication, and asked me to go to the Des Moines Menace game against Union Omaha for the US Open Cup, go at the stadium.
What is the US Open Cup?
It's like the Italian Coppa Italia. I don't know what's the name in Germany. It's like basically teams from different leagues compete, and then there's one winner for all over the country, basically. And then the Des Moines Menace was playing against Union Omaha, and they asked me to be the on-site reporter. So I went there in the press box, and I loved it. It made me realize that's what I want to do. And so I was there at the game. I was taking notes, watching the game, and then at the end I had like an hour to write an article about the game, and then they published the article on the website. So that was very exciting, and I'm still in contact with them. Sometimes they ask me to cover stories and stuff like that, even if it's not inside, that you just watch the game from home and then write an article. I didn't have a lot of time during fall, but it's definitely something I want to do again in spring. So that's for sure was my favorite thing.
Would you, in an ideal scenario, end up working in print media?
Print?
Yeah.
Not in an ideal, no. Okay. I can see myself doing it because right now I'm doing that in the Viewfinder magazine. I wouldn't mind it, but I'd rather work for digital media for sure.
What does that entail?
I don't know. I just love social media. I spend so much time in social media with people may say, Oh, that's wrong. No, it's not wrong. It's what I want to do in my life. So I have like a portfolio page on Instagram, and there I follow a lot of photographers or people who just work in the environment, and I spend so much time like watching, like scrolling through their works. And obviously then I also spend time on TikTok just randomly scrolling, because who doesn't? But um I take a lot of inspiration from people that are already professional in the industry.
And how do you build your skills?
With practice. You have to do it and do it and do it again, and mess up and do it again. And here I'm lucky because there are like the two main communication professors are really good. They know what they're talking about, and they work or used to work in the industry, so they know what they're teaching, and they're very good mentors. Like, I know I can go there with any doubt, and they know the answer to my question, and that's very reassuring, because I always have somebody to count on, at least until I'm in school, I guess. But yeah, just doing over, because Adobe platforms are so hard. So you just have to mess up with them and click everywhere and find the solution to your problem. And then there are so many tutorials on YouTube. I watch so many tutorials when I have a doubt. And then obviously ask questions, because for sure you're not the only person who has the same problem. So just ask the question and somebody will be able to answer you.
Yeah. So you often hear about the whole sports industry, which obviously includes the media side too, that it can be a very tough field, and it is often not that easy to get into it. Sometimes you're not getting paid that well. What makes you confident that you're going to find your place in there?
Oh no, I'm not confident at all. I'm not confident. But yeah, I'm in a sport and media class, and we basically, in the textbook, it was saying that the figure, like the main people who work in this industry, are like young men that are underpaid. That was pretty much the definition of a person who
Yeah.
works in this industry. And I'm not a man. I'm young, but I'm not a man. So I have some characteristics, I don't have others. But I, as we were saying about soccer, I've been in a man environment my whole life, and so I'm used to it. I'm not scared of like competing with men. But I wouldn't say I'm confident I'll find my spot in the industry. I think I'm learning a lot. I'm building a good portfolio, good experience, but still, this is not guaranteed I will find my spot in the industry. I really hope I will, but I'm not confident. And yeah, they don't pay a lot, but I think when you choose something for school, if you're lucky enough to find something that you like and it pays well, great. But there are so many times when you have to choose the dream or the money, and I chose the dream. I know so many people that don't like what they're studying, but they like the money, and so they're doing it. That couldn't be me. So I definitely chose the dream.
And you like that decision?
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to study something that I don't like, that doesn't interest in me. I'm really happy with my decision.
That's good. So, at a couple of points in our conversation, I sensed that you want to go back to Europe after you're done with your school here.
Yes.
Why is it not an option for you to stay in the United States?
Well, I don't see myself staying like long term in the States. Like when it's time to, I don't know, have a family, I don't want my children to like be raised here. I really love the culture in Europe, and I want them to grow up in that culture. Um, so I knew I was gonna go back. I didn't know when. I had one more year of eligibility for soccer, so I thought about playing one extra year. But it felt like just procrastinating the problem to later. Instead, I really want to start my life and figure out what I'm going to do with my life. And as soon as I do it, as soon I will feel like I find my spot in the industry. We're talking.
Okay.
Yeah, I really want to find it and start from somewhere and start as soon as possible. And since I know my life will be in Europe eventually, why not starting like as soon as possible as I graduate? So I just decided to go back.
Why are you so strong-minded about having a family in Europe and not having it in the US?
I don't know. Probably one of the things is that I don't want my my parents and I guess my boyfriend family to be so far away from my kids. I want them to have grandparents, and that's for sure one big factor. But also I don't know. I want them to be able to go to the park and walk around without being scared of somebody taking them, or I don't know, go to school without being scared that somebody is going to shoot, or I don't know. It can be stereotypical, but these things happen in the state, and I know parents are scared and like they're teaching their kids what to do in case that happens. I don't want to teach that to my kids. I want to teach them how to use a spoon, know how to hide if somebody's shooting in your school. And yeah, and then the food, it's just so many things that I love about Europe that I don't love here, and I experienced it, and I would feel guilty if my kids didn't. So I really want them to grow up there too, and then if they decided to go to the States, go. I did it too, but I don't want to keep them here for sure.
What is the biggest thing you miss from back home when
Yeah,
you're here?
the food, 100%.
Yeah.
Even if I try to cook and replicate things that I do at home, it's not the same. The products are so different that it's not the same. And even if I do the same exact steps and quantities and everything, it's just not the same. So yeah, I think the food is the biggest thing I miss.
I also feel like it is so much easier to just eat and feel good afterwards back home
Yeah.
than it is here,
Yeah,
because there's so much shit food.
I know. Yeah, here I eat chicken and I feel like I had, I don't know, 3 different foods, and like I don't know, the food is so different, it's so processed that it makes you feel like you're full even if you didn't have anything, and that's wrong. And then 1 hour later you're hungry and you eat snacks, and this is like the snacking culture in the United States. Like they don't most like so many people don't eat real meals. They have snacks, 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 and then maybe they have lunch, but still their lunch is not like a real meal. It's, I don't know, fries with whatever they find in the dining hall. Like I can't do that. I want to eat twice a day and then have maybe a snack in the middle. That's and breakfast. That's it. Instead, here the snacking culture is it's crazy, and you eat and drink so many calories that you don't even realize it because you never feel full.
Did you ever get used to it?
No.
No.
Now, well, in my old school, between the injury and the fact that I just go here, I gained I mean, not crazy amount of weight, but I gained like, I don't know, like probably 10 pounds. I was very skinny. Back in Italy, I was following a diet. I was crazy about my diet. And I was like, yes, I'll keep following it in the States. Never happened. It's impossible. But
Okay.
and also because at my old school, I didn't have a kitchen. I was in a dorm that didn't have a kitchen, so I couldn't cook for myself. Now it's better because for the past 2 years, I've had a kitchen and I can cook. But at the same time, there are so many temptations everywhere that even if you want to eat good, you see fries here and chocolate there and a shake and whipped cream. It's just like it's hard to not to fall for temptation.
Yeah. I was like, in the spring, I was cooking so much, nearly never went to the caf. And now slowly
Yeah.
it's the bad habits start kicking in, and you eat some shit here and then some stuff
Yeah.
there. And it's just so hard, as you said, to like resist all those temptations, because I really feel like if you're going for food here, chances that you're going to a fast food place are so high.
Yeah.
And back home, I would never even, that the idea of touching those places wouldn't even be in my mind, because there's so many other cool options.
Yeah.
And here it's just so standardized.
Yeah. If I go out in Italy, for dinner, I go and have a pizza. I don't have McDonald's. Sometimes I have McDonald's if they have promotions. That's it. If it's cheap and I'm rushing and it's late, I'm going. But here there are fast foods everywhere, and it's cheaper, and you don't even get out of your car. You just go to the drive-through and you're home in 10 minutes. So it's also, this is another part of the culture I don't like, the driving. I hate the driving because it takes out all the like the social part of going out to eat with somebody. It happened
Yeah.
to me in my old school. I was just back after summer in my sophomore year, and a friend, an American friend, she said, "Oh, we can go for a coffee," and I said, "Oh, okay." So I got ready, and we were going for a coffee. And in Italy, if you go for a coffee, you sit down at the table, you have a €1 coffee, and then you stay there for 3 hours talking about life. Instead, here we didn't even get off the car. I got ready for nothing. We go to drive-in, and in Starbucks, we got a $7 coffee for a small. We go back to school. In like 20 minutes, I was home again. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not what I expected. This is not what I like for sure. But at least when it happens once and twice and 3 times, you realize how Americans think, and you just get used to it, and you're like, this is how they are. There's not like a right or a wrong way. This is just how they are. I don't like it. I prefer the other way, yes. But at the same time, now I know if we're going for a coffee, we're going to the drive-thru most of the time.
Yeah. So you would say it's easier back home to have real conversations?
Yes, the small talks is something I got used to it now because working at Einstein, I mean, I see so many people every day, so you need to be good at small talks. But it's so like exhausting. Have something to tell people that you don't even know. They know you because you work there every day, but you don't know who they are, and you just have to say something, be like, oh my god, yes, the weather is crazy, you know. In Europe, like in Italy, that doesn't happen. If we're not friends, we're not talking. So I think it's easier to have genuine friendship in Italy than here. You know, here people call each other best friends after a month.
Yeah.
In Italy, my best friend, I've known her for like 8 years. You know, it's different. It's definitely different. No, maybe more, maybe 10 years, but yeah. Anyways, it's for sure it's easier to have friends here, but it's easier to have real friends in Italy, I would say.
Oh, I resonate so much with that. And also here being around like many internationals, that it sounds so bad, but I kind of really feel like if you want to have a good, meaningful conversation, you're kind of drawn to international people.
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
don't even know why that is. So, kind of a little lookout. You want to go back to Italy. You said you were born and raised in a small town.
Yes.
Do you want to go back to that town?
Oh, no. I'll actually probably go back to Spain and not to Italy after graduation.
Long term?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Why? I don't see why not. Like right now, the goal is Madrid because my boyfriend is from there, and so his family is there. We have a starting point in a big city, so where soccer is everything in that city. So why not? And so yeah, no, I would not go back to that small town because I feel like after being in the States, I learned so many skills that you don't need in that small town. So it would be a waste of like time and effort to just go back there, but go back to my comfort zone or what used to be my comfort zone, and just do things that I could have done even if I stayed 4 years. So no, I for sure want to go to a big city. I don't want. Obviously, there are things I appreciate about small towns, but not anymore. After I left, it's not the same to go back.
I sometimes have kind of a similar thing when I would go visit my grandparents or be in a environment where there's people who might have not traveled that much in their lives, just kind of have their bubble, and it would just like, with all I've seen in my life, it would just be so different. It would just be like worlds colliding because I've seen so much and I have such a different perception of the world, I would even say, instead, like in comparison to someone who is pretty much lived in a spot for his whole life. Is that something you feel like when you go back?
Yeah, there are just a couple people I still can hang out with, and I know I'll have fun and I can talk about whatever. But there are so many other people that I realize, like, I live for a year and then I come back and they're still talking about the same gossip or about the same things. They're still the same problem. And I feel like being here, you grow up so much and you go back and you realize they're still in the same spot. And so obviously it's not like challenging, to be around with them. I don't thrive with people that don't realize what is going on here. And the people I love the most when I go back are the one who ask questions. They're like interested of how's life here. If like they ask me so many questions and I can tell they're interested. And so I know they want to not everybody has the possibility to be here. So it's not their fault. But you can tell there are some people who wouldn't be here even if they could, and other people who ask me so many questions because they wish they could be here. And I think that's the difference between people who can I can spend a lot of time with and people who are just like, yeah, let's go for a coffee, the famous coffee once, and that's it.
Is that something you are grateful for, that you have friends who you know that they would like to be here but maybe can't be here and you get to live it?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, without my parents, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would never open a loan just to come here. I know so many Americans do it. I wouldn't like to be 22 and already had to pay, I don't know how many thousands back to the bank, or I don't even know who, I don't even know how you open a loan. So for sure, my parents, yeah, and my grandparents, because they're helping too.
Okay, interesting. I want to wrap this up with a question that is kind of challenging, but I'd love to hear what you say about it. And it is, what would you tell your younger self starting out in life?
In life or in soccer? In life in general?
Both.
Okay, in soccer, I would tell myself, hey, you'll end up in the States, so keep doing it. So every time I think about quitting, I won't. It would be easier not to quit because I know the end goal is that I'll be in the States. That's what I was dreaming when I was in middle school. Instead, as a person, I would probably say that not everybody is going to like you, and that's fine. That you don't have to. Obviously, you need to adjust because we live in a world that you need to be social. We need to talk with people. You need to be a good person as much as possible. But I would say people are not going to think the same way you are. And if they don't, because when I was younger, I feel like I was trying to convince other people that my thought was the right one. Instead, right now, if they don't think the same way, I try to explain my point. I try to say, this is what I think and why I think it's right. But then if they have a different thought, I'll just be like, okay, I see your point. That's like, we don't have to agree. We don't have to fight. We don't have to agree. We don't have to never speak to each other again just because we don't think the same way. It's fine. And if you don't like me, it's fine too. Like I was saying about the coach, if you didn't like me as a player, it's fine. It wasn't like a big deal. And that's something I learned here in the States, for sure.
Okay, agreeing to disagree sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No, thank you again so much for taking the time. That was cool to hear all of your perspectives and intentions with your career. All the best for that, of course.
Thank you.
And yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The World of Sports. I hope this conversation sparked your interest in sports and the people behind it. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it with a friend and leave me some feedback in the comments. Once again, thanks for joining me in the world of sports.